What up, though, everyone? Welcome back to a new episode of One Mic, where I watch shit so you don't have to. Today, I'm here to talk about the latest film from Sam Levinson entitled Malcolm and Marie, which hit both Netflix and the theaters yesterday, Friday the 5th of February. So this was a day one watch for me from day one. I thought it looked really intriguing. I had just come off of seeing John David Washington in Tenet. I thought he was very good in that. As you know, if you watch my Tenet video, I will stake that claim. I thought John David Washington did an excellent job. And I've watched Zendaya, I keep doing this, over a couple of things now, mainly like Euphoria and Euphoria-based like spin-off episodes kind of, but her work has been absolutely stunning to me as of late. So to get these two in what looked like to be a very intimate setting, black and white film where it just like it's all about character development and issues like that. This looked like something that was going to be really good. So I was ready to watch this on day one. So I fired this one up after I put my kids to bed on Friday, and I was ready to take it in. And I gotta say, I'm not really sure not even necessarily who this movie is for, but why it needed to be made. I don't really see a point to this film. It feels like hate torture porn kind of like let's see who can shit on the other person the most and say the most horrible thing. And when this happens throughout the context of what seems to be everyday life, and it feels natural, like this is something that would happen given these circumstances, it's, no matter how petty or aggressive it might get, it might still feel real. Like it feels like this is something that could really happen in this scenario. Whereas Malcolm and Marie doesn't give us much to go on. We just know that John David Washington's character is a film director. He's just come home from a premiere. They both have, and that's it. And they get into fights, and when the fights get as toxic as they do, like it when you don't have the whole story, right? When you don't have, like, we haven't had like a hour of getting to know these characters and seeing them live a normal life and seeing them have normal things happen, and then just have a fight break out where it gets nasty, and then we can wonder, oh, why did this fight get toxic, or what's going on between these two? And maybe we've seen hints of earlier in the film, but like no, it dives right into this incredibly toxic behavior, and it doesn't even feel natural. That's why I called it like torture porn, because it doesn't feel like these are the things that happen naturally throughout a conversation. It just feels like, hey, let's just make a film where two people shit on each other really, really bad for like an hour and 45 minutes, and I don't really find anything redeeming in that. And when you have a film this long that is just dialogue between two characters, you need to have some meat there, right? And when it's that long, it's easier to notice the structure flaws. So what I mean by that is this film got really tiresome in the ebbs and flows, right? It became predictable, kind of like almost like a predictable bad sitcom. And I know like what sitcom? Like where are you getting that from? But what I mean by that is, have you ever seen a sitcom where or it could be an actual film, like a drama film, or maybe something that happened to you in real life, where somebody is going off on somebody and they're just ranting and they leave the room and then they come back in and another thing. Like the Fresh Prince did a gag, like a really good gag with that, where like somebody was leaving a room and then just kept coming back to add more. That's what this film was like, but not meant for laughs. It was like escalate, and then we're cool again, and then now we have the perfect opportunity to just squash this and go to bed, and then one of them comes back and another thing, and now it goes right back up again, and then it just does that over and over and over, and then it gets irritating in its predictability. It's like, okay, who's gonna come in now and restart this argument when it could be dead and everything seems squashed? Who's gonna come in and restart this so that we can just draw this out longer because we don't want it to be a 45-minute movie, which is what it should have been. And then another thing that I noticed too while I'm watching this is, for those of you who don't watch Euphoria, Zendaya plays a addict. So if you watch Malcolm and Marie, you might already know where I'm going with this. Zendaya plays an addict. God damn it. Zendaya plays an addict and she's going through all the things that you would expect an addict to go through. Like, and I've said over and over that I feel like Euphoria gives a unique and accurate depiction of what it's like to be an addict. And they bring in, I can't say bring in, but they introduce a character that we don't see named Taylor, who plays an actress in Malcolm's film. And Zendaya's character, Marie, she brings up basically saying, like, this character is based off of my life. So then that tells me that Zendaya's character used to be an addict and used to have problems. I'm like, is this Rue from Euphoria? Like this is really getting. And as the film progresses, his character shares more and more traits with Rue. And I'm like, man, this really feels like these two things are intersecting like a whole lot. And then I look after the fact, and I don't know, I knew this ahead of time, but it escaped me at the time I'm watching the film. Malcolm Marie is written and directed by the same guy who does Euphoria. So now it feels like this guy is just a one-trick pony, and all he knows how to make is junky torture porn. Like, it makes me look at him differently, because I stand by that. I think Euphoria is a phenomenal show, but we got into the pandemic, and he made 2 Euphoria episodes that are the exact same thing as this. Like, just kind of like bottle episodes with these characters and in one place, and then we learn things about these characters. We learn about their past, but it's generally like monologues and dialogues, and that's it. Not a big cast, not a big crew, none of that. And it felt like he just said, like, okay, I've already made 2 hours of really emotionally draining, just characters that are venting or arguing, just really intimate, almost like claustrophobic type settings. I've already done 2 hours of this for Euphoria. Let me just force a film in there about the exact same thing. And it's like, it felt like I don't see the purpose for making this film, because it doesn't bring anything really redeeming. It's just watching people shit on each other for an hour and 45 minutes. And it gets old, it gets tiresome. And it doesn't really leave you much where you walk away like you feel like you gained something from it, or you learned something from it, or you understand why it was made. There's really not too much there for that. So, really tough to recommend this one, because I can't really give you like it's meant to explain blank, or it's meant to give you blank. And maybe it could be more redeeming if you're somebody who hasn't seen Euphoria, so you haven't already seen what you feel is like this character, the character Zendaya plays. I feel like I've already seen this character for like 12 hours at this point. So that didn't bring anything new for me, but even if I hadn't, we still don't know anything about these people other than that they shit on each other for just nonstop for just whenever they have free time. And that just doesn't give me anything to really recommend this film based off of, because I'm still kind of confused. And like, it really just feels like Sam Levinson had no point in making this film other than to just say, like, I've already got, like, it feels like he was like, I've already got Zendaya. Let me see if I can loop in somebody else, and I can make another 2 hours of emotionally draining, just devastating type material, but this time with no foundation to put it on. Like, when you do that with Euphoria, you can build that up over 10 episodes. So then when you drop these 2 episodes in between seasons, we still know these characters. We're still accustomed to what they've dealt with. We know all these things. But now it's just like, hey, let me give you an hour, 45 minutes of 2 people you don't know and you've never seen before, shitting on each other back and forth for the entire time. And for the most part, you don't know why. It's really just like, these are just 2 incredibly toxic people who want to hurt each other. So very little redeeming about this film. But I don't want to shit on it completely, because even though I've only said bad things, I don't think it's a bad film. I just think it's a film that just doesn't bring anything that we need. It feels like something that Sam Levinson just wanted to make, just to kind of just keep making things where fucked up stuff happens. But there are some things that I did like too. Like, I thought that the performances from John David Washington and Zendaya were both great. I thought they both did a great job. John David Washington does, like, there's many, many moments where it's like, oh, you can definitely see his father in him. Like, it's really, really obvious. When he really gets like excited and emotional and emphatic, you really see the Denzel in him. But his performances at the time were a little over the top, which kind of actually leads me into another thing I didn't like about it. But I thought that, so the pattern of this film was kind of like escalate massive argument, bring it down, monologue, by one of the two characters that gets not it's not an argument or nothing, just a monologue. Then bring up that escalation again, bring it back down after the whatever, another monologue by the other character, escalate again, and then bring it back down, and it just goes like that. And the monologues by each character, there was a moment fairly early on where Zendaya's character talks about talks about Malcolm making like a hypothetical Lego movie, and she builds out this whole scenario of how it will play out that's supposed to be funny, and it's not funny at all, and it's not interesting, and it goes on way too long. And I'm like taking notes at this point, like I can't believe how long this is going on. Like that's how it's like one of those jokes where it's just like, can you just wrap this up? Like you're really beating a dead horse here. Like the story could have ended like 5 minutes ago. And then John David Washington does one where he's ranting about, I guess, like kind of like the politics of filmmaking in response to a good review of his film. And it feels like, again, like, is this meant to be played for laughs? Like this guy is so toxic and so just ready to shit on everything that even he found a way to make a good review into something for him to be pissed off about. But is it meant to be played for laughs? Am I meant to just see that this guy is just a fucking weirdo? But either way, his reaction to the good review was way over the top. Like this isn't something like, I don't even think like an unreasonable person would react this way. And then again, it goes on too long. And it stops being interesting. And it's like, it's just somebody where it's like, okay, now you're just ranting over and over, you're just repeating yourself. You're providing nothing new to this conversation. Like you could have wrapped this up a long time ago. So like those two monologues were both pretty boring. And by the time we get to John David Washington's one, I'm already like sick of the pattern already. Because I'm like, okay, here's his monologue. We got Zendaya's earlier. Now he's going to wrap up. Now one of them's going to escalate it back up again. And it gets almost eye rolling. Like, here we go. It's so predictable. What's about to happen. So even then, trying to find something good about it, I still found a way to shit on it a little bit more. But I didn't plan on shitting on this film as much as I am. But like, it's just... I don't know. I just don't really know why it was made. I don't know why it was made. And I feel like, to me, my respect for Sam Levinson is dropped because I feel like he can't do anything else at this point. Like, you've just made Euphoria for another hour and 45 minutes, and you just gave us John David Washington instead. And I even though I don't think the product is bad, I think it's almost bad by association, kind of. It's like, okay, so this is all you can do now at this point. But anyway, but there is one other thing that I liked. Well, two other things. I like the fact that it was in black and white, and it was also very grainy. I can't even really tell you why he did that. Like, it doesn't feel like it was like a brilliant creative decision necessarily. It just felt like, when sometimes people are getting too creative and they're just doing shit just to do it. Like, hey, let's make it black and white and grainy, because it doesn't look old. It just looks like you just made it black and white and grainy. It doesn't look like it's something from when films were in black and white. So, and I don't really see what that lends to the conversation, if only for just making the environment feel more drab. Like, it's already a toxic environment, clearly, but at least if it's in color, you can look at it and go, maybe it feels less toxic if there's more color there, because color is vibrance and life, and you feel like, maybe you don't feel the toxicity as much. Or maybe when it's black and white and it's lifeless like that, the toxicity hits even harder. So, hey, there's my hypothesis for why it's in black and white. But I did, just aesthetically, just looking at it, I liked the look of it. It's very claustrophobic. It takes place in one house. There is a shot, though, that like, a sequence of shots that, again, it goes on too long, but it's at the very beginning of the film. Zendaya is in a hall, in a doorway, smoking, and Malcolm is walking in circles around his couch, and he's ranting while he's walking around, and the camera, sometimes it stays on Zendaya and he leaves the frame, he comes back in, he leaves the frame, he comes back in, and then sometimes the camera follows him as he walks around. And after a while, I'm kind of like, okay, you're calling my attention too much to the camera work right now. And again, this is going on too long. Like, because now I'm noticing that he's just walking around in a circle and ranting. And now I'm noticing, like, okay, now the camera's following him. It wasn't following him before. Now I can see his head and where I couldn't see his face before. Like taking me out of it to where I'm noticing these sorts of things is troublesome, in my opinion. But I did like that the fact that it was black and white, and I think all of that closed environment and the black and white, it just adds to the impact of the toxicity. So I think that was a wise decision. And then the last thing is, at the end of the day, why are they doing this? Why are they beating up on each other like this? And it kind of starts off, and it's like, you know, the first time that Zendaya admits, I'm going to call her Marie. The first time that Marie admits that she has an issue, she says it's because you didn't thank me at your award show. At your premiere, I'm sorry. And on the surface of things, one might think that's not the best reason in the world to go that crazy on someone, right? It's like, okay, you forgot to thank me. That is a pretty big fuck up. But one might look at her reaction to this and this whole argument and go, well, that's a pretty big reaction to just, he forgot to thank you. But as the film plays on, and we learn more and more about their pasts and how they've interacted and what their relationship has been like up to this point, and even what they've just endured throughout the course of this conversation, the thank you wraps back around. And I like the idea of someone could say at the beginning, theoretically, they could go, he didn't thank you at his premiere. Like, oh, that's not that big of a deal. Like, yeah, it's a fuck up, but like, you don't have to go in like that. But then when you see everything that's happened, that makes that thank you have weight, and that does come around. So then when it comes back later, and it does ultimately boil down to you didn't thank me, and at the end of the film, when you didn't thank me comes back around, it has a lot more weight, because we understand now all that's been given, all that's been taken, both emotionally and literally. Like, we understand all that now, and then we understand like that desire for just that little bit of recognition and acceptance of, like, I see what you're doing out here and I appreciate it. So it's like, yeah, I like the fact that they found a way to make the thank you come back around to where it's the same thank you, but now you understand its impact, or the impact of not giving it a little bit more than you would have at the beginning of the film when you don't really know what's going on. So I did like that aspect, but at the end of the day, my job here is to tell you guys if something is worth you watching it or not, and I don't think this is worth you watching. I don't see anything it gives to you where you can walk away and be like, I feel like I gained something from that film. You're gonna walk away feeling like, what the fuck did I just watch? Like, these two people are like, I've seen tweets where people haven't even been able to make it through the film, like, and I almost didn't want to make it through it, not because of it was so toxic, but because it got boring. Like, it's way too long for this kind of thing. Like, when you got something like this going on, I'm seeing he's trying to drag it out by inserting the monologues and stuff, but the monologues were boring and went on too long. Like, everything about this is too long. So I could see people just going like, yeah, I'm out. But it doesn't really give you anything positive to take away, or anything to take away, period, other than just like, now I feel like shit. Like, I just watched two people shit on each other for 2 hours. And it's also disappointing to me to have such high expectations for something like that, and then to ultimately find out it's just a director that kind of is just seeming like a one-trick pony at this point, and just saying, hey, I can you like torture porn, I can give you more of that, and just giving you that, and it's like, okay, well, now it doesn't even have a purpose. It doesn't have a point. I haven't learned anything from it. Why did you make this? Like, that was my first thought when the film was over, was like, why did we need this? What does this bring? Like, I'm not anti-toxicity of anything portrayed in film, because at the end of the day, the film's not real. So I'm not gonna be like, I don't want to see films with toxic behavior. But if a film has a toxic behavior in it, or toxic behavior in general in it, we need everything that comes into that. Why does the toxic behavior exist? What happened to these people? Are they going to learn from it? Are they going to grow from it? Is it going to fester and just get worse? Like there's so many different things that you can do with that. And that this just felt like just toxicity for the sake of toxicity. And I can't in good conscience recommend something to you guys that really has no redeemable value, other than there's some acting performances that are great. and at moments over the top, and at the end of it, it kind of comes back around. But that's kind of it. So not too much to give you guys there, but check me out tomorrow. I'll be back with a Fight Talk episode, and on the film front, really looking forward to Judas and the Black Messiah that comes out I think in a week or two. So that'll be the next film that I review. I don't see any way that one's not good, but I said the same thing about this and I was wrong. So until then, see you guys. Peace.